The Constitution of India, Preamble. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this Constitution.
Hi students, welcome back to the history class. Always be happy and healthy. Try to wake up early in the morning and do your work on time. Stay safe at home. In the previous class, we learned about agriculture progress in medieval India. Today we will discuss the next topic, trade and commerce of medieval India. What are the changes brought about by progress in the areas of agriculture and handicrafts? എന്തായിരിക്കും അഗ്രികൾച്ചറും ഹാൻഡിക്രാഫ്റ്റ്സും ഒക്കെ ഡെവലപ്പ് ചെയ്താൽ എന്തായിരിക്കും ഉണ്ടാവുക? പ്രൊഡക്ഷൻ കൂടും, സർപ്ലസ് പ്രൊഡക്ഷൻ, ഉൽപ്പാദനം കൂടും. ഉൽപ്പാദനം കൂടിയാലോ അതിനനുസരിച്ച് വ്യാപാരവും വാണിജ്യവും ഡെവലപ്പ് ചെയ്യും. ഓക്കെ, the surplus production helped the growth of commerce. The commercial centers in India attracted traders from all over the world. Do you know the names of the countries that traded with India in the medieval period? The major countries that had trade relation with India during medieval period are Sumatra and Java in Indonesia, Persia, Holland, England, China, Portugal and France. If you have a world map, try to find out these countries. How India traded with other countries at that time? India had inland and maritime trade relation with foreign countries. അതായത് ഉൾനാടൻ വ്യാപാരവും സമുദ്ര വ്യാപാരവും, രാജ്യത്തിനുള്ളിലും സമുദ്രമാർഗവും ഉള്ള വ്യാപാരവും. The two major inland trade routes were from Lahore to Kabul, in the present Pakistan to Afghanistan, and from Multan to Kandahar, that also the present Pakistan to Afghanistan. The maritime trade was also known as coastline trade, samudra vyaparam, തീരദേശ വ്യാപാരം എന്നും അറിയപ്പെട്ടിരുന്നു. Do you know the major ports of that period? Yes, Cambe, Broch, Surat, Goa, Nagapattanam, Masulipatanam, Kozhikode and Kollam were the major ports. Let us discuss the major trade groups of medieval period. Coastline trade conducted by Marwadis and Gujaratis, and inland trade conducted by Multans and Khorasanis. The major export items were cotton fabrics, indigo, salt and sugar. Imported items included metals, leather, velvet, dry fruits and horse. The Arabs were the middlemen in the import of horse from Central Asia. In South India, the horse traders were known as Kudira Chettis. Do you know the various European countries that came to India for trade? Yes, the Portuguese, the Dutch, the English and the French. Which was the first European country visit India for trade? Okay, the Portuguese. What was the major change that the arrival of Europeans made in trade? Earlier, the Arabs had the upper hand in trade. With the arrival of the Portuguese, the Arabs lost their influence over this trade and the Portuguese gained the upper hand. നമ്മൾക്കറിയാം യൂറോപ്യൻസിൻ്റെ വരവോടുകൂടി അതുവരെയും വ്യാപാരം നടത്തിയിരുന്ന അറബി വ്യാപാരികൾക്ക് അവരുടെ സ്വാധീനം നഷ്ടപ്പെട്ടു. ആ സ്ഥാനത്തേക്ക് പോർച്ചുഗീസുകാർ വന്നു. The direct trade between India and Europe began with the arrival of Vasco da Gama at Calicut in 1498. After that, the Dutch, the English and the French landed in India for trade. എന്തൊക്കെയായിരിക്കും അവർ ഇവിടെ നിന്ന് കളക്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടാവുക യൂറോപ്യൻസ് ഇന്ത്യയിലെത്തിയിട്ട്? The Europeans collected the chief items from India were spices, fabrics, indigo, sugar and salt. The major shift in the trade relation was the mutual rivalry among the Europeans for establishing monopoly of trade, which converted India as a ground for the imperialist wars. യൂറോപ്യന്മാർ തമ്മിലുള്ള കോമ്പറ്റീഷൻ, വ്യാപാര കുത്തകയ്ക്ക് വേണ്ടിയുള്ള കോമ്പറ്റീഷൻ ഇന്ത്യ അവരുടെ ഒരു യുദ്ധഭൂമിയാക്കി മാറ്റി. ഡു യു നോ വിച്ച് കൺട്രി വൺ ദ കോമ്പറ്റീഷൻ, ട്രേഡ് കോമ്പറ്റീഷൻ? ഇറ്റ് വാസ് ദ ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് ഹു emerged as the winners in the competition. Let's see, the rulers adopted several measures for the progress of trade. Rulers adopted several measures for the progress of trade, constructed roads connecting major cities, granted loans to traders, constructed sarais, means rest houses, implemented uniform taxation, postal facilities were made efficient, implemented efficient coinage system. Sultanate rulers used coins for the exchange of trade. An efficient coinage existed in the Sultanate period. Example, Tanga, the silver coin, and Jitta, the copper coin were in use at that time. Sher Shah made drastic reforms in coinage. The rupee, a silver coin, he introduced. Emperor Akbar issued the silver coin called Jalali and the gold coin called Ilahi. We will move on to the next topic, the cities in medieval India. During the medieval period, many cities sprang up in India. What are the factors that have contributed to the growth of cities and urban population? Agricultural and commercial progress accelerated the growth of cities. The urban population rapidly increased during this time. In the earlier period, majority of the inhabitants of the cities were the kings, Brahmins and soldiers. During the Sultanate period, different section of people including cooks, weavers and leather craftsmen migrated to the cities. Do you know the major cities of that period? The major cities were Agra, Lahore, Delhi, Khandesh, Ahmedabad, Dhaka, Daulatabad and Benares. In addition, the rulers brought a large number of slaves captured from battles to cities. Subsequently, the urban population went up. നമുക്കറിയാം രാജാക്കന്മാർ യുദ്ധങ്ങളിൽ പങ്കെടുക്കാറുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ ആ യുദ്ധങ്ങളിൽ പങ്കെടുത്ത് തിരിച്ചു വരുമ്പോൾ അവിടെ പരാജയപ്പെട്ട പ്രദേശങ്ങളിലെ ആളുകളെ അവരുടെ അടിമകളാക്കി പിടിച്ച് അവരുടെ രാജ്യത്തേക്ക് കൊണ്ടുവന്നിരുന്നു. അതും അർബൻ പോപ്പുലേഷൻ ഇൻക്രീസ് ചെയ്യാനുള്ള കാരണമായി മാറി. വിത്ത് ദ എഫേർട്ട് ഓഫ് ദ ന്യൂ സെക്ഷൻ ഓഫ് പീപ്പിൾ ഇൻഹാബിറ്റഡ് ദ സിറ്റീസ്, handicrafts advanced much. As you know, the karkhanas, the major handicraft centers in the cities. The demand for the products increased with the growth of urban population. നമ്മൾക്കറിയാം ആളുകളുടെ എണ്ണം കൂടുമ്പോൾ സാധനങ്ങൾക്ക് ഡിമാൻഡ് കൂടും. The cities had to depend extensively on the products from the villages. അപ്പോൾ അവർക്ക് സാധനങ്ങൾക്ക് ആവശ്യം കൂടിയപ്പോൾ സിറ്റികളിലെ ആളുകൾ വില്ലേജുകളെ ഡിപ്പെൻഡ് ചെയ്യാൻ തുടങ്ങി. It empowered the village economy as villages were the major production centers. Now we discuss the economic condition of medieval India. Now let us discuss the medieval Indian society. Medieval Indian society was full of inequalities. Three social strata were apparent in medieval India. They were the upper class, the middle class and the lower class. Upper class included the kings and lords. The middle class included mansabdas and traders, and the lower class the farmers, craftsmen and slaves. Okay, do you know the main occupation of the people of that time? Okay, agriculture. Majority of the people were farmers. When landlords lived luxuriously, the common people had to struggle with a pathetic life. The landlords collected excessive tax from the common people. Majority of the farmers could not their own land, oxen and plows. They suffered a lot. There were two types of farmers are there, Kut Kashta and Pahi Kashta. Peasants, two types of peasants, Kutkashta and Pahikashta. Kutkashta on farmland, farmed with the help of family members. Laborers were engaged if needed. And Pahikashta, cultivated in the farmlands of others. The Zemindas were the dominant class in the agriculture sector during Mughal period. They were the owners of the vast agriculture fields. They did not cultivate directly, they used others to cultivate. The Zemindas enjoyed high position in the society and collected tax from the peasants on behalf of the rulers. They maintained their own castles and troops. The Zemindas who belonged to high caste were known as Deshmukh, Patel and Nayak. Let us discuss the slavery system of medieval period. Main sources of information about that period were the travelogues of different travelers. Mainly Ibn Battuta, a traveler to India in the 14th century, revealed that he had bought horses, camels and slaves to present to Muhammad bin Tughlaq, the famous ruler of Tughlaq dynasty. He also states that the slaves in the court excel in music and dance. Markets exclusively for slave trade existed in medieval India. That already we discussed, slave trade. ഇന്ന് നമുക്ക് മറ്റ് സാധനങ്ങൾ വാങ്ങിക്കുന്നത് പോലെ അന്നത്തെ കാലത്ത് മാർക്കറ്റിൽ വ്യാപാരത്തിന് വിൽക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി വെച്ചിരുന്നു. Now let us discuss the status of women in medieval period, in medieval India. What was the status of women in medieval India? You have any idea? Women had no rights and privileges in the medieval Indian society. Child marriage and practice of sati prevailed in many parts of our country. Francois Bernier, a French traveler to India in the 17th century, recorded that he had witnessed sati. There were restrictions for widow remarriage. Since girls were married at a very tender age, they did not get the opportunity for education. ഇന്നെങ്ങനെയാണോ? പണ്ട് അങ്ങനെ ആയിരുന്നില്ല. നമ്മുടെ മധ്യകാല സമൂഹത്തിൽ, ഇന്ത്യൻ സമൂഹത്തിൽ ശൈശവ വിവാഹം നടന്നിരുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ ചെറിയ പ്രായത്തിൽ തന്നെ പെൺകുട്ടികളെ വിവാഹം കഴിപ്പിച്ചു കൊടുക്കും. അപ്പോൾ അതുകൊണ്ട് അവർക്ക് വിദ്യാഭ്യാസത്തിനുള്ള അവകാശം കിട്ടിയിരുന്നില്ല. The role of women on agriculture sector was significant. They involved themselves in all the stages of farming from sowing to harvesting. They were engaged in weaving, pottery and embroidery works. There were several women who had adorned higher political and social position. അതായത് രാജകുടുംബങ്ങളിലെയോ ഭരണാധികാരികളായ സ്ത്രീകൾക്ക് മാത്രമായിരുന്നു സമൂഹത്തിൽ ഉയർന്ന സ്ഥാനം നൽകിയിരുന്നത്. Example, Noor Jahan, the wife of Mughal Emperor Jahangir and Sultana Razia were excellent administrators. Gulbadan Begum, sister of Humayun, the Mughal ruler. Jahanara, daughter of Shah Jahan, and Jija Bai, the mother of Shivaji, were women who held higher positions. Let us move on to the next and the last topic, caste system of medieval India. Read the snippet from the book Babar Nama. In this memoir, Babar, the Mughal ruler, describes different occupational groups and caste system of medieval period. From that we can understand there were many workers skilled in different occupation. Each workers belonged to a different caste. The Brahmins enjoyed a higher status. Increase in the number of caste was a major feature of this period. The newly formed occupational groups gradually evolved as caste. The caste system in South India too was based on occupation, similar to that of North India. The caste in South India were broadly divided into two. They were Idangai and Valangai caste. Idangai caste, those who are engaged in trade and handicrafts, and Valangai, those who engaged in agriculture Those who engaged in agriculture sector were known as Valangai caste. India attained considerable economic progress during medieval period. This concludes the lesson. Go through the textbook, read and study well. Okay, we will continue in the next class with a new chapter. Bye.